What do you do if your client can't be hypnotized, they can't visualize, they can't follow the regression, they don't want to close their eyes, they're not going to trance deep enough? What do you do? Well, it's very, very simple. Stop doing all of those things. It doesn't matter the technique, guys. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. That's the key word here, trying to do. Trying to force a client into trance will backfire. Trying to force a client to relax will backfire. Trying to force a client to see certain visualization inside 3 certain scenes or float above a timeline or feel a certain thing will backfire. There is no place in therapy to get a therapeutic result where you should be forcing your client. So if my client can't be hypnotized, I don't care anyway, but let's say that was my goal and my focus, they had to be hypnotized. Instead of trying to force them, I'd allow it to show up organically or naturally, and I'd utilize it. Erickson was talking about this. I'm a big Milton Erickson fan. Erickson was talking about this a long, long time ago, but people are too focused on the language patterns and the stuff he was saying rather than the implication or the principles that he was using. When it comes to even using ACH, we teach our students this as well. Instead of trying to solve the problem, which now you're forcing, most therapists will do, a script is trying to solve the problem, a language pattern is trying to solve the problem, a suggestion is trying to solve the problem, believe it or not. So that we're trying to solve the problem, we investigate the problem. We find out why this problem exists. We call it getting curious. We're just curious about the problem, not solving it. If a client goes into trance naturally as a part of that investigation, which they usually do because it's quite taxing on their minds, let it happen and utilize it. I see even a lot of therapists will say, what's the quickest way to put my client into trance? Should I use a shock induction or an instant induction? I just made a video about this before and why we don't recommend it. What would you say? What language pattern would you use? What meta model would you be looking for? And again, you're now, anytime you're asking what technique to use, you're now trying to force an outcome with a client. Instead, we get what we call really, really lazy as a therapist. And I tell the students this, get really, really lazy. Instead of trying to force things, wait for the unconscious mind to do it naturally. And why is this important? And why would it be way more powerful? Here's the thing, guys. If a client goes into trance naturally, their way, it's because that's what their mind needed to happen. No, not every client has to close their eyes. Not every client has to go into a formal trance. Not every client needs a regression. Okay, not every client needs a timeline. Not every client needs this. Anytime you go into a session saying, my client needs this, you're forcing an outcome that doesn't need to be there. We just allow a client to go to that place. Now, let's say I'm working with a client, I'm asking some questions. I use my hypnotic interview. I'm finding all the knots. I'm looking for clashing realities. And as a result of that, they pop into a regression. Their eyes close, chin falls down to the chest. They start drooling on themselves. What do? I let it happen. And as a matter of fact, people say, well, what regression skills do you use after that? I don't know how to do a formal regression because I don't need to. I let them go to the place where they go because their mind will know what to do. If it wants one scene, it will have one scene. If it has 10 scenes, it will have 10 scenes. They will know the meaning because the unconscious mind will present it to them because that's what the unconscious mind needed to do. My job at that point is just to make sure they're safe. That's it. So my regression is very little words. If my client goes into a regression or has an age regression, they start remembering things, they even have a visualization, my response is, cool, go do that. And I just wait, guys. I don't have to have formal steps to an informal strategy, okay? I just wait for my clients to go there. If my client does not close their eyes through the whole session, so what? If they do, so what? If they see something, so what? If they don't see something, so what? If they say at the end, I wasn't hypnotized, I don't care as long as they got the therapy. And it also begs the point of people say, well, don't you have to have access to the unconscious mind or to have a therapeutic breakthrough? No, it's the opposite. You get a therapeutic breakthrough and that allows unconscious access to the unconscious because that's where the breakthrough comes from. So we're sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All in all, guys, when you're trying to force a client down a technique, a certain strategy, a certain way of doing things, a certain way that you were trained, you are now telling the client, you do it my way. And believe it or not, you are nowhere close to as intelligent as your client's unconscious mind. I let their unconscious mind do what it needs to do in order to create a therapeutic breakthrough. I don't talk that much. I definitely don't use techniques. I've never used a regression, never used visualization, never told a client to close their eyes, never told any of that stuff. But if it happens, I treat it all the same and just let them go there and make sure they're safe. Think of the stress this takes off you guys to not have to worry about drilling language patterns, to learn another style of regression. I saw recently on a sales page that said like the ultimate regression method, and it created an argument on this sales page saying it can't be 3 scenes. It has to be 6 scenes because the unconscious mind deals in the number 6. Who comes up with this shit? The idea that someone came up that has to be 3 scenes for regression, people are just making stuff up. the timeline thing, the visualization, they have to feel it. They have to pull the problem out of their chest and spin it around and give it a name and give it a color and change the color. This is all just guessing and all forcing a client to go down a road you want them to go. Now, people say, well, the unconscious mind will just do what it says you want it to do. That's not the case, because if that's the case, people just listen to these audios on YouTube and they'd be healed. But we know they don't work. We know the scripts don't work, because now you're definitely forcing people down this idea. Instead, we take a step back. We get lazy to an extent. We get really, really curious. And it's like we're saying indirectly to the unconscious mind, hey, you go do what you need to do. I'll put you in the right place. I've shown you what the client needs. Let's have a discussion about this. If you think they need to go into a regression in order for you to show them something that's important to have an insight, you go do that. I'll look after them, make sure they're safe, and we'll both do this as a team. Instead of, hey, unconscious mind, I want you to go down this road because I think this is best. What do you think their unconscious mind's going to do being pushed around so much? The unconscious mind is extremely stubborn. The reason your problems exist because it is stubborn. The reason why you have to see your clients multiple times because it is stubborn. You keep telling it what to do. Instead, take a step back, guys. Wait for these things to happen naturally, and you get quicker and faster breakthroughs, okay? So a big thing in all, guys, utilize instead of forcing, okay? That's for all techniques, all issues, all conclusions, all records. Doesn't matter who trained you, guys. Instead, take a step back. And again, if you want to learn how to do this, guys, we have our January ACH training coming up in 2025. Sorry, just had to think about that for a moment. The link is down below, guys. Enrollments have started now. People are already starting to enroll, and we teach you this very thing. Cool thing about the way we teach ACH, it is a therapy training. You'll never have to worry about the hypnosis and the techniques again. You'll throw away your regressions. You'll throw away your timelines and your visualization because you do not need them, okay? These are forcing techniques. We show you how to help create these things organically. It's because it's what a client needs. It's what their mind deems as appropriate to have a breakthrough and to give that client insight as well. So that's what we're showing you how to do. All right. Hope that helps, guys. See you in the next video.